Hi, folks. Welcome. Please come in, have a seat. You were chilling with the guys, and with me, as always, Xavier, Luis, and Chris. Chris, how are you doing today? My guy, what's going on?
I'm good, man. Long week, but good day. Went out golfing, back ready for this podcast, hang out with my guys. I
Xavier, what's
did.
cracking with you? What's hot?
What's going on, guys? Had a day off today, so excited to be here. What's good?
Spicy. Luis, what's up with you, man?
Had to go to Home Depot to get some roofing shingles. About to finish out my patio deck.
Patio deck, that does look good. I saw it. I'm going to need some updates. I want to
Nice.
see a little bit of that later. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about the gift of Gab, who's got it, who doesn't have it. What I want to do first, before we get into it, I want to ask everyone what it means to them and what's going on. So, Luis, when I say the gift of Gab, what does that mean to you?
It means not me. Honest to goodness truth, you know.
Oh,
I
proving point. Very good.
I don't believe that I hold that ability. To me, the gift of gab means to be a smooth talker, being able to talk yourself in and out of situations to the benefit, the personal gain, essentially.
With that being said, let me ask someone who I know has the gift of Gab. Xavier, tell me about it. Do you have the gift of Gab?
I pretend like I don't, but it's the
Very
silver
good.
tongue.
Look at you.
It's
It
the
is the
silver
silver
tongue,
tongue.
right? You're just.
So what's it mean to you? What does that mean?
I mean, everybody else that's listening, they know what that is. It's just an effective communicator that can get what you want through the art of communication, conversation with another person.
Very good. So Chris, I want to talk to you about the gift of Gab and what it means to you, because you were one of my most vocal friends and I like it. I've known you probably the longest out of anyone here. I've known you since
Yep.
1996. We were in 6th grade. In case you guys didn't know,
Damn.
we had a math class together. Do you remember that?
Yep.
Do you remember what you asked me in class?
I asked you if you like cheese.
Silver
Mhm.
tongue, right
And I
there.
said, I was blown away, guys. He was like, hey, this kid I've never met before. He was wearing a Toys R Us blue polo, and I thought it was amazing. I was, dude, does this guy work Toys R Us? This is amazing. This does he know Jeffrey, the giraffe from Toys R Us? And he's like, hey, he looked right at me with his dead soulless eyes, and he said, hey, do you like cheese? And I was like, yeah, man, I do. And Chris, wrap it up. What did you say?
I said, I like cheese because it comes from cows.
Very good. And we went from there, and I failed that math class because of that. Like, you'd stuck
That's
with me for the rest of my
you
life,
weren't
and
better
I've never
friends with me
forgotten
and
it. So,
copying off my shit.
there you go. I was copied off Chris. He didn't know what he was doing. He was drawing
Awesome.
cows and whatnot in class. So Chris, the silver tongue, the art of speech. Do you have that?
I mean, I like to think that I do, right? Like, I mean, really, it's simple things with talking with people, right? I mean, I think, literally just hearing X's thing, like, there's a lot of different levels to this. Is it talking to people to get what you want? Is it to get through a situation?
Okay.
Is it talking just to get to know people, right? Being in sales, like, I got to talk to people all the time. I have a great gift of gab to diffuse situations, which I got to deal with all the time. When people are upset, dealing with upset people, and hey, calm down, like, hey, this is what you got to do. And also, like, selling people on things, either buy or selling yourself to people.
Elaborate on that. Go on, because I knew you were talking about work and whatnot, but there has to be a time that really sticks out in your mind where your silver tongue got you out of a tight spot or into a nice spot.
I learned to be honest with people and build a trust with people through communication and the gift of gab. By talking with them and being honest, hey, look, I screwed up on this. I screwed up on this thing. I'm going to make it better. I'm going to make it right.
So transparency, I like that. So whilst talking to people, you keep it transparent.
Right. And here's the thing, too. If somebody's mad at you, right, you mad at somebody and they admit that they're wrong, too. How much more mad can you really be at them, right? How much more can you really say, right? It's, hey, look.
Oh, dude, I work in the automotive industry, and people, they love it. They can go very, very, very far.
I get that. But if you say, hey, look, I was wrong, and here's what I'm going to do. Here's what we can do to fix it. It's now we got rid of this negative stuff. Let's move on to progression and solving the problem.
It actually
right?
builds accountability, more credibility for you.
Right.
be
Exactly.
honest.
That's what it does.
And it also
so-
sounds like it could lead to trust.
That's the whole point of that, right? Of being honest and
Solid.
hey, here I screwed up and let's build this, build trust with me because I'm being real with you.
I do like where you're going, but I want a story right now. I want you to hit me with a
Spicy.
story, because I know you have stories just like I have
Spice.
stories. And let's be honest, that's what our sensual listeners want to hear. They want to hear some sexy stories. Very good. I like it. The gift of gab coming out. Very good. I'm going to come back to you so you can think about the story,
Go ahead, come back to me.
Luis, because I know
Good,
you
good.
don't have the gift of gab, but I want to put you on the spot.
Yeah, go
You've
ahead.
probably been jotting it down and waiting for this all day. So let's just get the hot mess
What a
anxiety out of the
dick.
way. Tell,
Go for it.
tell me a story, dude.
The one thing that was sticking out to me is how you always talk about, you always relate to. It's not what you know, it's who you know. Every job that I've landed, it's essentially me going into an interview process and selling myself to a complete stranger. And the only way that I'm able to do that is by being knowledgeable of the position and my ability or my work ethic for that specific position.
So you're saying the gift of gab or lack thereof has helped you excel at work. So do you walk in there, you just don't know what you're doing, you just know that you have knowledge, you're just gonna hit them with facts.
If somebody has an ad posted, right, and they give you the job description, they're obviously looking for somebody that can fit into these qualities, because the person that was in that position was not able to do that job. So what do? You go in there and you explain how you can check off every box on their job description.
You got it then, right? You have the ability to realize that, okay, I might not be able to go and sweet talk my way in there, but if I hit all of these check boxes, that should give me a pretty good chance at getting this job. That's a pretty good,
Right.
aspect of Gift of the Gab. I mean, that's just knowing your audience. That's part of it. That's part
And
of part of the art.
And sticking to your positives and your good points that you can do, right? Like, hey, look, I can't sit here and talk with you forever, but I can tell you about these 3-4 points.
I'm just not that small talk person, you know. It's and you guys know me. You guys have known me for a long time. It's I come with facts. I come with experience. I come with knowledge, and that's what you kind of get from me.
I got a
So-
quick story.
Okay, well,
Oh,
hit me
now-
with your
now
story
you're
then.
ready to
Hit
go.
me with your. Yeah, now
I'm
he's
glad
ready to go.
that
So hit me with your
that I
story.
brought something out in you, Chris.
Yeah, I didn't
I
have
like it.
to do anything with that, but I just figured I'd share a story.
Thanks, Chris.
Smooth.
I'm in
I like where this is
Cancun.
going.
So I'm there with this girl, right? And we're going to Chichen Itza. This is a big ass seventh wonder of the world, freaking pyramid. I mean, that shit was dope. Only supposed to be one room. They had clear, like you can only have two people, right? And I got very limited Spanish at this point, all right? Very, very limited. People I was
Okay.
with did not speak Spanish at all, period.
Okay, I
And
just
I
want to
gotta go
clarify
check
for
us
everyone listening.
in, and we're only supposed to
Okay.
have 2 people in this room.
Got it. And you had more than 2 people. Now I understand where you're going with it. Okay, carry on.
Exactly. We get 4 people in the room. I think they seen us. They come over, dudes. They come knock on the door, and I'm like, "Hola, cómo estás?" I'm like trying to be hella nice with dude. And he's all, "You have
¿Dónde está la
4
biblioteca?
people. 4 people. No, not 4. 2. Just 2. He goes. He leaves. We think we good, right? And dude comes back and, hey, you got 4 people. Nope. Just 2. Just 2. And I just said it very calmly, very nicely to the dude. Gave him a little head nod. And I said, hey, mi amigo, only 2. A little firmer. And we were left alone.
What a fucking
Okay, so
clinic. What a clinic.
What a-
I'm out of
what
here.
a-
This is it. I learned
With
everything I
that,
needed
we're
to
done.
learn.
It's a wrap, guys. We learned what we needed. Very good. Donde está hablo? No English. Those people. Very good. I like it.
Hey,
So
dude really
that's what
came
you did,
like
Chris.
4 times though. My story was garbage, but dude came like 4 times. All right, it was a lot better in my head. Okay.
You gotta
All
pour
right, hey,
yourself
let
a
me
drink, my
switch
guy.
gears. Let me switch gears here real quick. So I'll tell you guys a quick story that I had. So when we worked when I worked at that warehouse that me and Xavier and Luis worked at, I was hurting for a job. It was about maybe circa 2010. The economy tanked. No one was hiring whatsoever, and I was trying to get this job. This place that I was trying to apply to, I only knew that I could get there because they were a hot mess. So my buddy said, hey man, come in, come apply. And I did. They called me in for an interview. I went in. The manager was like, hey, very good. We'll reach out to you. We'll give you a call. A week passes, no phone call. The third week, and I went in. I was like, hey, what's up, Tom? Went right up to him. I shook his hand. He looked at me like, hey, like he kind of remembered me, kind of didn't. I was like, hey, Tom, it's me, Johnny. And he's like, oh, yeah. He's like, what's up, man? What can I do for you? I was like, Tom, you called me in today for orientation. And he was like, oh, yeah, that's right. You know what? I think I have the paperwork on my desk. And I was like, cool. And he's like, all right, let's go. And he was like, so, I'm sorry, I forgot. what position was it for again? I was like, oh, it was for the lumber yard, man. You remember you told me Monday through Friday, starting at 6 a.m., 6 to 3. And he's like, oh, yeah, yeah. I do remember that. Come on this way. We'll get some paperwork signed. We'll get you going. Then he's like, I forgot about the pay. What did we agree on? And so I told him the pay that I wanted, and it worked. I just bullshitted my way through the entire way. I talked my way into the position, told him the hours that I wanted, the days that I wanted, the salary that I wanted, and he was none the wiser. So that was a good time that it's worked for me, and it's happened like that plenty of times. That's one of the best times it's ever happened. But my motto when I talk to people, whether it's at work or whether it's at a bar when you're meeting people, or if you're just meeting someone for the first time, I go into the expectation and with the knowledge of I get this from Something About Mary. You guys can fact check me a little bit later. All I know is that you don't know shit. And so look that up, fact check me, check it out on Something About Mary. That's something that I remember I remember hearing. I was like, dude, that's 100% correct. So I try to bring my confidence in whenever I go places. Some people call it cocky, but you can't be really cocky when you're a short, fat guy. So I just call it confidence, and I go from there. And I just talk my way into situations, and I like the way my voice sounds. So
That
and you
is
guys,
that's awesome, right? But that is an
100%
extremely
true.
difficult thing to do, what you just did there.
It is.
Not very many people are going to be able to do that, you know? Literally Johnny on the spot.
It touches on what you said earlier, Zabe, where he knew his audience, right? He knew that this place was a clusterfuck. He knew that they had no
Hot mess.
real organization. So he went in there knowing that he had this as an advantage for him.
Like I said, all I knew is that they didn't know shit. Right. So
That's
I
absolutely
stick
right.
by that no matter what I'm doing. I mean, think about it. I manage a service department. I have never worked on a car a day in my life. However, I have this place humming and doing well because I've hired people around me that know what they're doing, right? So I can manage the department pretty well.
Absolutely. And that's a smart
You
move.
know,
And I
so
think knowing you for as long as I have, and knowing that you live by that, I think there's reasons why I keep more to myself, because I do know at the end of the day there's a lot of bullshit going around, right? And so I kind of let people play their hands and see exactly what they do know. And if it's a subject matter that I'm familiar with and that I know of, if they're right about it, then great. If they're bullshitting me, then I know that they're bullshitting me, and they're not really worth the time or effort to continue with that conversation.
right, very good. I
Can
couldn't agree with you more.
I
So
say
Xavier, I know
one?
you said that I had an extreme version. So hit me with something a little. I don't want to say mild, but something that's that makes more sense to you, that maybe would resonate a little bit more with people listening. That's a little bit more down to earth. Do you have anything for me when it worked for you, talking your way into something or out of a sticky situation?
Yeah, no, I think for me, it's actually the opposite. Not saying anything was actually what worked out for me and my benefit. And I was getting ready to go to another job, but I was in the negotiating phases. They were asking me, you know, how much are you making at your other job? You know, and I'm not going to disclose that information. They're like, well,
Very good.
can you give us a ballpark of what that is? I'm like, what's your offer? Okay, well, you know, we're going to have to get back to the drawing board real quick, and then we'll come back and we'll let you know what our offer is, and then we'll go from there. I'm like, okay, cool, sounds good. Now, for me, I had unfortunately had already told my current employer, that I'm leaving. So they call me again. They're like, okay, we're going to come at you with this number. You know, this is because this is what you said, right? This is what you were making over there. I was like, no, I didn't. I did not say that. They're like, well, we're going to have to call you back because this isn't, you know, this isn't what you said. I was like, you're right. I didn't say anything. So anyways, they come back later. I end up getting a lot more.
Wow.
In this
That's a lot.
case, right, it's actually not saying anything that kind of
Right.
really helped me get to where I needed to go. And it just, that's, I think, part of the art of the conversation, right? It's just knowing when you should hold your ground, whether you
Right.
say something
good,
or
yeah.
don't say anything. It's just, you
Well,
just got to know.
You kept them guessing, right? So they didn't know, right? It's the mystery of what you didn't say. They have no idea,
Absolutely.
so they're thinking, "Oh, this dude's making so much more. We got to pay him more."
Hey, I know you don't. You guys probably didn't know this, but Xavier, what you just explained was the fourth law in the 48 Laws of Power, which is always say less than
Oh, we're
necessary. So
referencing that shit again.
good for you. Well, I
48
live
Laws of
by
Power
that
is a good
bad boy.
book.
So
Okay, guys, like you guys really, you know
I'm
what,
glad you're in the
Johnny,
same boat, Xavier. Thank
you
you. Okay,
know,
bless.
it's a good book. It's a good book. You know,
It's a
not
good
every
book,
law.
huh?
Yeah, it's a good book.
I'll give you that.
Not,
Not every law.
not every law is gonna translate right? There's some weird ones in there, but there are some very good lessons in there that you should
Right.
learn that or read that you can gain a lot of
Like
knowledge.
all things, you got to take the positives out of it, right? There may be some shit that ain't good, but take the positives. Hey, one thing just to put me in a positive light with my gift of gab because my other shit was garbage.
Actually, time out, Chris. Before you keep going, how about this? Let me let you redeem yourself. So, how about this? How about you tell me about a time when you failed at talking your way out of a situation? Do you have something like that?
Yeah, about 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, I failed in that. I failed in talking about a positive.
Zing! Oh, dude,
Perfect
that's
example.
great. No, we don't have many viewers, so it's okay. Don't worry about it. No one's really watching us.
I went on a road trip. I went to Cameron Indoor. I was at Duke. I wanted to go in. I wanted to go out to the Duke court. Cameron Indoor, like this shit, Zion Williams just played there. All the greats who have played there, right? They're like, no, it's closed. I didn't just let that stop me from what I wanted to do. I said, well, okay.
So what did you say?
I said, I would really love to go there. I'm with my daughter. I saw that it was a charity thing they had going on. So I literally said, is there any way that I can donate to be able to go down and go onto this court and be able to make a basket at Cameron Indoor with my daughter? And they were like, oh, I don't know. Let me ask my manager. Bring the manager over. Hey, look, this is what's going on. I would love to come here. I'm from California. I'm never going to be out here again. Get them feeling kind of sorry and get them feeling what my story is too, right? Like I want to do that. I want to go out there selfish for me. Hey, I'm willing to contribute to your cause.
Did you contribute?
Yeah, I did.
Solid technique.
Okay. That's all.
And
That's all.
I got a free T-shirt and I went and scored a basket, but I will never post that because I learned I shoot like a bitch. So
you should walk around with a microphone in your hand. You start hitting people with some knowledge when you have it.
With microphone. But my point is, don't be afraid to talk to people, but also don't be an idiot or be an asshole when you do it and be obnoxious. Then the people aren't going to respond to you, right? Like I have numerous stories of sporting events where I try to be an intellectual heckler, right?
Patrick Peterson gave him a head nod at the Niners Cardinals game, and our old punter moved sides because Chris was getting in his ear.
Pignon.
Oh, he ended up having to go to the other sideline because Chris was getting in his ear.
And let's get back to the question that I asked. I think you guys had some great stories, so let's reel it back in. Luis, tell me about a time where you failed at your gift of gab, where you just try to talk yourself into something or out of something, and you failed.
I think anytime, at least for me, where I go into a situation when I don't have the knowledge or the information that is needed for that certain situation, and I'm kind of grasping and I'm shooting out just random ideas or random thoughts, kind of catches me, kind of comes back to bite me in the ass. I don't have a specific time that I can think of that. I just know that for me, if I do have the knowledge, the ability, or just knowing who my audience is, then I'm able to go through that conversation with more ease and more confidence, right? If I don't know what I'm talking about, if I don't know what the conversation is, then
majority of the time,
I'm less confident, and so I open myself up to more questions, right? And so when you have confidence, you're able to go A, B, C, and D and get through it. When you lack confidence, then there's a lot more questions than 2 or 3.
Zave, why don't you tie us off there and you hit me with time? I need to know about a time that you failed.
I
remember
was at this warehouse, and I believe our general manager.
What a story!
Right, our general manager was asking us, and then Johnny, you can fact check me because it's a little hazy. I try to block out any memory of me failing out.
But, I just let you go, dude. I was like, be free.
So, we're like in, whatever aisle department, we're walking around with the general manager, the GM, and he's asking us, he's asking everybody, like, hey, what can we do to be better? I think I need some ideas from everybody. And, I'd like to get more efficient and just better at how we run our business over here. So everybody's spitting out some great ideas. And I'm like sitting in the back and I'm like, I'm the new guy. I've been there for 90 plus days. All right, go ahead, Johnny.
Question. I want to paint a picture for everyone whilst telling your story.
Go ahead, yeah.
What time was this meeting?
It was in the afternoon?
It sure in the F was not. Because this particular time, and I want to paint everyone's a picture, so the manager wouldn't want to come in. He'd want to be out of there by 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock, gone. So I think this is probably one of the first times at my evening shift, guys, we'd be there until 1 a.m. he hadn't met any of you guys. He was saying we weren't doing a good job, and I was like, Tim, you should come check this out. I mean, dude, come meet these guys. These guys have good ideas. Blah blah blah. Didn't want to do it for one night and a single night only. He showed up for the night shift. He started his shift, I think, at maybe 2 p.m. He walked in the afternoon, and he met up with you guys. And I think our meeting was like at 6, 7, or 8. And he's like, I want to meet these guys. Where's this Xavier guy you're talking about? Where's Luis? Where's this guy with his saggy socks, Luis? There, he's walking this way. But Xavier, hit me with it.
He's asking for some ideas, how we're going to get better. And I am getting ready to like tell this story about how hard we're working. And, we're bringing out all these pallets of cabinets and we got to stock them before 8 o'clock. And, I'm like, okay, I've got some ideas, I'm going to get this fired up. So he calls on me. So, hey, Xavier, so what do you got? I'm thinking that if we, and I don't know, some incoherent nonsense comes out of my mouth, right? And I end it with, it's like chasing a dream. It's like chasing a dream. And there is silence happening in freaking cabinet hall. All right. And I'm looking at Johnny, and Johnny's just like, we're going to have to let you go, kid.
It's 2 outs, okay? There's 2 outs, bases loaded.
Fair.
Heavy
Fair
hitter
enough.
comes up to the base, or he comes up to the plate, and I look at Xavier. He's on the mound, and I'm the skipper. I'm over there with my foot propped up. I'm chewing, and I give him the nod, like, "Hey, kid, you got this." He chucked that ball, and Tim just fucking ripped the shit out of the ball. And then he looks over. Xavier looks over at me, like he puts his head down. He watches the ball, and then puts his head down, and then he looks over at me. And I'm like, I walk out, I just put my hand out and give me the ball, kid. You're done. You're done, son. Go have a seat. I'm like, thanks for playing. Thanks for playing the game. I appreciate it. You kind of bombed, but hey, I've bombed plenty of times. Don't worry about it. I mean, that's a good segue into my story. So, dude, I mean, I failed almost every single time that before I met Jess, at a bar, trying to talk to people, trying to talk to girls, just miserably fail. I'm like, hey, what's up, ladies? How are you doing? Ill. I'm like, hey, all right. I started moonwalking away. Confidence gets you so far. Like I said, being no one goes to the bars trying to talk to a 5'6", chubby, balding white guy. If you catch my drift, the Gift of Gab only gets you so far. And that usually gets you up to buying a drink or so, and then they casually walk away. So that's that's all I got with my story. So it is what it is sometimes. So with that being said, Xavier, let's go right back around the other way.
Yes, sir.
What did you learn from that when you talk with Tim when you failed out loud?
Just tempering your emotions, right? When it's time to talk, keep yourself in check, and don't think about it too much. Just let it come out naturally. I thought about it in that moment. I was thinking about things way too much. I tried to make a big first impression, a big splash. I wanted to be somebody, and instead I said it's like chasing a dream, and has nothing to do with what he is asking the question about.
Later on, guys, hey, click on the link below. There's going to be merchandise, Chasing a Dream
Absolutely.
t-shirts. It's going to be
I
fantastic.
can't wait.
Please.
Hey, you know what? That's a good idea.
I can't wait,
Good idea.
guys, because one day I'm going to end a speech that way, and I'm going to record it for you guys.
Oh my God! Will you please? Will you
Hey,
have?
I
oh my
absolutely
God,
will.
Oh,
That'll be
Wouldn't
coming
that be
full circle.
Full
That would be
circle, guys.
Full circle.
Right? And the audience is just going to be like,
Jesus.
are we good
Did
here?
he say
Yeah.
that?
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
good.
Let's clap it
I
up
want
for
to
him.
chase
All
a
right.
dream.
Thanks, Mr. Camacho. Thank you. Very good. So no,
Hey, real story. I've heard you guys
Oh.
constantly mention this chasing a dream, but I never knew the origins of that.
dude, I thought for sure you were
No,
there.
I was not there.
think he
Remember,
was
I
there.
didn't come in until later in the evening.
Oh, that's right. You wouldn't start until like 8 o'clock or so, or something,
No,
right?
6:30,
6?
depending on.
Okay, so it had to be before 6 then, because then.
Yeah, no. It's whatever Xavier said. It caused Tim to leave, so I didn't even see that guy that day.
It was that good.
Oh man.
He's like, great talk. He's like, Johnny, come here. Johnny, fire that man immediately.
I need you to drug test him immediately. Like right
we
now.
need to random drug test his ass, please.
I like what Xavier is saying. You know, you don't overthink it, and I think that's where I get stuck up. Right, I start stumbling over my words because I do put a lot of thought into it, because in certain situations I do lack that confidence, and even if I do have that information, I just trying to get it out there. I tend to stumble on my words a little bit, and you guys have caught it a little bit during these episodes, when I'm asked questions that I'm not familiar with or have the confidence in responses. So it's a good point.
You know, when you're prepared, it's easier for you to talk.
Absolutely.
And then when you don't know about something, right? But also, if you don't know about something, maybe you're thinking about it too much, or right, and then it's just not natural. You try to script. Oh, you think, oh, if when he asked me this question, I'm going to say exactly this. Well, they don't ask you that question. They ask you something different.
Shower conversations.
Right, and then your mind's all completely different.
They never quite go the way you planned them out to be.
I was going to ask you, Johnny, like what have you learned, right, from your misadventures in the scenarios that you depicted in failure?
I
Try
do
Tinder.
have a habit of verbal diarrhea. I learned when I worked at Target for a long time, hey, leading walks, hey, hey, I'm talking to people, I'm walking my talk, during the visit, and I don't know when to stop talking. I can't shut it off. And I know what I'm saying, and it just keeps pouring out. And our old Corey would just Luis. I don't know if Xavier met Corey, but I know Luis knows. Corey would just sit there and just watch me, just like watch the train wreck unfold. We'd be doing a walk with everyone. There'd be VPs there, corporate. There'd be people like trying to invest in the company. Like, hey Johnny, what are we doing with our loss? What are we doing with this? I'm like, I'm just like watching me, like, yes.
Like my Mexico story.
He's like, yes. He's like just watching it happen, and because I was cocky when I was younger, I was cocky. It wasn't confidence, it was cocky, and he would just, yeah, take yourself down a peg real quick. Oh, look at you fail out loud. I'm just like, so I've learned when to stop talking. I've learned when to keep my mouth shut, and I've learned when to speak. So I try to observe. One of the main currencies that I have, no matter where I go, is information. So you learn a lot of stuff when you just shut your mouth and just listen, ask a question, talk to people, and just let it pour out, because people have so much to say. So that's the one thing that I've learned, I guess, is multiple things. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say one, is learn when to speak and when not to. I know it sounds very cliche, but that's what I've learned. I mean, am I off the mark? Does anyone have anything remotely close to that?
That's absolutely right, Johnny. The one other thing that I wanted to add, and right, I didn't have stories, but the one specific stories, but when you're angry with something during a conversation, you can say some bad things and completely get that conversation going bad. Like, been upset with either work or personal stuff, or just talking to people and hearing stuff that you don't want to hear. Like being able to take a deep breath and be cool and calm about the situation.
No, that's a good example. How do you catch yourself?
Good question. Solid.
That is a good question.
It's okay to think before you say something. It's okay to take a quick second before you completely spit out, right? Like before you spit out something harsh or horrible, like you just said this. Oh, hold on. Like I throw or you know what? Or I'm not going to say something for a second. Like it's okay in a conversation. If you're getting crazy at me, it's okay for me to pause for a second before I reply.
If you're in the middle of a conversation at work or at home, and you know that you're getting heated, what is one thing that triggers that reaction? Like, hey, you know what? I need to take a deep breath. I need to stop right now, because the next words that are going to come out of my mouth are going to be not very pleasant.
Well, you can feel when you get heated and you're going to say something horrible. After all, bad experiences doing it, is trying to know and have the mindset that I'm not going to respond to people when I'm upset like this, or trying to make it better before you get in that situation is what has helped me out a lot recently.
Okay.
By going into situations knowing that, hey, whenever I do get upset, then I'm going to be able to calm and have a better mindset, so that one, I don't get as upset. But it's been a lot of experience in saying all kinds of shit that first comes off the top of my head, fuck you too, whatever, or getting personal with people about things, when now it's okay, hey, you say something something personal about me or something that upsets me, I'm going to respond in a manner that's going to try to diffuse the situation.
It's just you have to continue having conversations for you to be better at them.
Right.
You got to grind through the conversations. You got to have these conversations with people. You got to be in uncomfortable situations so that you learn what it's like to be in that situation. Right? Chris, like,
You can only get better through experience.
absolutely. Chris, like, you touched on it, right? You knew you were going to come, you knew you were going to be upset. You were going to say something that was probably unwarranted. But that's because you've been in that situation before.
Right.
You've been put in that situation before, probably many times. So you now have the experience to say, you know what? Hold up. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Something ain't right. So you're going to back it up, right?
Right.
You're going to back it up and you're going to diffuse the situation. And that just goes back to the cooler heads prevail. So, Johnny, how about that for some knowledge, bro?
Yep.
I do.
That was
You know
great
what? You
knowledge.
just knowledged all over me.
Oh.
You hit me with some hot knowledge. I mean, you just spread your knowledge all
Spicy
over me.
knowledge.
I like hot, spicy knowledge. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. If you can, make sure you hit that subscribe button on the bottom. And if you'd like, make sure that you guys throw in some comments, and I will make sure we address them, and we'll give it a shot. Luis, what do you got?
Just to continue piggybacking off of Johnny, there's a notification button somewhere in this area, so that if you hit that bell or some shit,
We are
Hit the bell.
redoing this whole fucking outro. You guys
Ding,
fucked
ding.
it up so fucking bad. We
All
got to
right,
redo it. But
all right, look.
you know what?
Listen.
Jesus
There's
Christ.
there's a bell somewhere around here that you need to click
y'all are
on,
lagging 'cause
so
you're
you
like,
know
Axel just,
when
Axel
hey,
just edit
Chris,
this shit out now.